That single moment of recognition, when his eyes lock on yours, when his tone shifts, when his entire body leans into the act of seeing you, this is not casual. It is not accidental. It is deliberate, because the way a man greets you is not about manners. It's about meaning. When a man is truly invested, his greeting carries weight. His words may be simple, but they are charged with energy. His tone is alive. His posture is alert. Why? Because attraction cannot hide. It shows itself in presence. You see, people can fake many things in life, success, charm, appearances, but presence cannot be manufactured. A distracted man, a man who doesn't care, will never bring you full presence. But the one who is captivated by you, he gives you attention like it's oxygen. And that greeting, it's his first signal. He's not checking his phone while talking to you. He's not half turned away. He's all in. Every micro expression screams, "You matter right now." That's what you look for. Not words, but alignment. Words lie, presence doesn't. Think of it like this. The greeting is a doorway into his heart. If he values you, he will not stumble through it lazily. He steps through with intensity. He's invested. He's showing up, and he's anchoring his feelings in that moment. That's why the most powerful signal of love is not a grand gesture, but a consistent one. The way he sees you, the way he acknowledges you, the way he brings his energy to you, this is where truth hides. Now, here's the brutal reality. Weak men give weak greetings. They offer distracted nods, half-hearted hellos, empty words. That is not love. That is convenience. And if you confuse convenience for commitment, you will pay the price in disappointment. But the man who is crazy about you cannot help but break the pattern. He greets you like you are gravity pulling him closer. His eyes sharpen, his energy rises, his body language shifts. That is obsession in disguise as a hello. And this matters because greatness in relationships, just like greatness in life, is measured in the details. How someone enters a room says everything about who they are. A powerful leader walks in with clarity. A committed lover walks in with presence. Both reveal truth instantly. So what do you do with this knowledge? You stop being distracted by shallow charm. You stop falling for empty declarations. You watch the greeting. That's where the evidence lives. A man who is crazy about you will not treat you like background noise. He won't greet you like a stranger. He greets you like you are the axis of his attention. This is why discipline is so important. You must discipline yourself to stop settling for half measures. Never excuse lukewarm energy. If he cannot give you full presence in a hello, he will not give you full commitment in life. A powerful relationship requires a powerful man, and power shows up in presence. Understand this clearly. A man reveals his devotion before he ever declares it. His body will betray him. His tone will betray him. His greeting will betray him. That moment tells you more than hours of conversation ever will. Because conversation can be rehearsed, but presence cannot. So stop searching for hidden clues. Stop begging for clarity. Look at the way he greets you. Does he light up? Does he focus? Does he bring energy? If the answer is yes, you already know the truth. He's crazy about you. And if the answer is no, then no amount of excuses will change it. This is where strength comes in. Do not chase a man whose greeting is weak. Do not build dreams on half-hearted attention. Build on strength. Build on intensity. Build on undeniable presence, because you deserve nothing less. Remember this, the way a man greets you is a reflection of the way he values you. It is not about formality. It is about truth. And truth once seen cannot be unseen. So the next time he walks into the room, pay attention. Watch the greeting. That's where reality lives. If he greets you like you are rare, precious, irreplaceable, then you know that's not politeness. That's passion. That's not routine. That's obsession. And if he greets you like everyone else, that's not your man. Because a man who is truly crazy about you will never treat you like everyone else. He greets you as though you matter, because to him, you do. When someone gives you their attention, they are giving you something more valuable than money, gifts, or even words. Attention is time fused with energy. It is the sharpest currency of love, the clearest proof of commitment, and the most accurate test of value. A man can tell you anything. He can promise the world. He can decorate his speech with charm, but without attention, all those words collapse into emptiness. Attention is where truth hides. Why is attention such a powerful indicator? Because it cannot be faked consistently. A man might pretend for a while, but eventually the real pattern surfaces. Random attention is not attention. It's convenience. Genuine attention, sustained and deliberate, is investment. It's the pouring of his presence into your existence. Every second of focused energy says, I choose you. And the truth is simple. People don't invest their soul where they see no value. Think of it. A distracted man, a man whose eyes are elsewhere, whose ears are half shut, whose mind is far away. This is not a man invested in you. He may be standing beside you, but he is absent. Absence in presence is the cruelest form of rejection. But when a man is truly captivated, his presence transforms. He leans in, his voice shifts, his posture anchors to you. His entire being declares without words, you matter right now. That is not random. That is soul investment. Attention is sacred because it reflects priorities. No one gives attention without cost. If he gives you his focus, he is sacrificing distraction, comfort, and alternatives. That sacrifice is proof of depth. Shallow men can give charm, but they cannot give consistent attention. Because attention demands energy, and energy is the most honest form of devotion. Now here's the part many people miss. You must stop excusing weak attention. Too many tolerate half-hearted effort, occasional check-ins, or shallow recognition, and then label it love. That is not love. That is convenience disguised as care. True attention is intentional. It is consistent. It is felt. It is not a maybe or a when it's easy. It is deliberate investment. When a man is serious, he will not ration his attention like a miser with coins. He will not give you scraps and leftovers. He gives you the front seat in his awareness. Not always every second. Life is busy. Reality is demanding. But you will never feel like an afterthought because investment is not about frequency alone. It is about quality. A single moment of full, undivided attention outweighs hours of distracted presence. Here is where strength comes in. You must hold the standard. Never beg for attention. Never chase it. Because the moment you chase, you signal to yourself that you are unworthy of investment. You accept crumbs when you deserve the feast. Strength means recognizing the difference between genuine investment and empty gestures and walking away when the truth is weak. Attention is also a mirror. When he gives it to you, he's not only showing how he feels about you, he's showing who he is. A man who can focus, who can be present, who can sacrifice distraction, that is a man of strength. A man who cannot give attention is a man who is fragmented, weak, and unreliable. Do not confuse busyness with devotion. Do not confuse charm with commitment. Look at the attention. That is where reality lives. And let's be clear, attention is not grand gestures. It is not fireworks or theatrics. It is the small, precise moments where you feel seen, heard, and recognized. When he remembers what you said, when he looks into your eyes with full presence, when he chooses to listen instead of scroll, when he greets you with intensity instead of routine. These are investments. They may look small, but they carry the weight of his soul. So here is the call. Stop measuring love by words. Measure it by attention. Stop being blinded by charm. Look at the investment. Does his soul lean toward you? Does his focus anchor to you? If yes, then you are not guessing. He has chosen. If no, then you are not confused. He has revealed his truth. Attention is never random. It is the most powerful compass of devotion. Do not cheapen yourself by ignoring this compass. Do not settle for someone whose attention is scattered everywhere but you. Because if he cannot invest his soul in his attention, he will not invest his life in his love. Grand speeches are easy. Anyone can say, I love you, I'll always be there, or you mean the world to me. But those words cost nothing. They roll off the tongue with no sacrifice, no proof, no sweat. That is why words alone are the weakest measure of love. What truly exposes a man's truth is consistency. the steady rhythm of small gestures repeated over time without fanfare, without pressure, without pause. Think about it. One big declaration can impress you for a moment, but it can also deceive you. Words are lightweight. They can be rehearsed, manipulated, even weaponized. But gestures, especially the small consistent ones, cannot be faked for long. They reveal his character, his discipline, his priorities. When a man shows up again and again in the little ways, you are no longer guessing at his heart. You are seeing it in action. A man who remembers what matters to you without being reminded. A man who checks if you're safe when you travel. A man who listens when you speak and recalls details weeks later. These are not fireworks. These are bricks. And bricks, stacked steadily, build the fortress of trust. The truth is, love is not found in dramatic words shouted once. It is found in steady devotion lived daily. The strongest men know this. Greatness is not in the rare explosion of effort, but in the quiet discipline of consistency. If he truly cares, he will not just tell you, he will show you over and over again in ways so small they almost look ordinary. But in those ordinary actions lies extraordinary proof. Now here's the danger. Too many fall for the big words and ignore the lack of consistency. They are swept away by charm but left starving by neglect. You must train yourself to reverse this. Stop giving weight to promises without patterns. Stop being blinded by declarations without demonstration. A man's truth is not in what he says once, but in what he does always. Consistency is the fingerprint of sincerity. No pretender can hold it for long. A man who only talks will eventually expose himself because his actions won't align. But a man who truly feels for you doesn't need to decorate his love with endless speeches. He proves it in presence, in reliability, in the 1,000 little things that whisper louder than any sentence could shout. And this is not just about relationships. This is a law of life. Anyone can perform once. Anyone can shine for a moment. But true greatness, true love, true strength, it is revealed in the pattern, the habit, the rhythm. Big words may move emotions, but small gestures shape reality. So what do you do with this truth? You raise your standard. You stop being hypnotized by shallow declarations. You watch the pattern. Does he call when he says he will? Does he show up when it matters, even in small ways? Does he treat you with respect when no one is watching? These things are not glamorous, but they are real, and reality is what sustains love. You must also understand this. Consistency is not about perfection. No man is flawless. But the man who is real, the man who is sincere, will correct himself, will return to the pattern, will fight to keep showing up. His gestures will not be random. They will be reliable. And that reliability is the bedrock of trust. Strength means refusing to settle for words without evidence. Strength means choosing the man whose small actions prove his big feelings, because only then will you build something that lasts. Love built on words is fragile. Love built on consistency is unshakable. So remember this, if you want to know his truth, do not ask, what does he say? Ask, what does he do? Again and again. If the answer is small but steady gestures, repeated with care, then you have found gold. If the answer is only words, no matter how beautiful, you are chasing shadows. Consistency in small gestures reveals his truth more than big words ever can. Words can be rehearsed, but gestures are raw. Words can be false, but patterns cannot lie. Words may impress you once, but consistency builds you forever. And in the end, it is not the speech that proves love. It is the rhythm of care, the constancy of presence, the quiet devotion that never fades. That is the truth. That is the proof. And that is the standard you must never lower. When a man greets you, he is not merely performing a social ritual. He is revealing himself. That moment is a collision between who he is and what he feels. His greeting is the handshake between identity and desire. You may hear only a hello, but the truth hides in the way he delivers it, the tone, the body language, the presence, the intensity. It is in those few seconds that he unconsciously tells you how much you matter. Courtesy is surface level. Anyone can nod, smile, or throw a polite word in passing. Courtesy is mechanical. Desire, however, cannot hide. Desire charges his tone with life. sharpens his eyes, and changes his posture. When identity and desire meet, even the simplest greeting becomes loaded with meaning. He is not just saying hi, he is saying you matter to me more than the rest of this room. This is why it is dangerous to dismiss greetings as trivial. They are not. They are micro-revelations of the soul. They show the difference between a man who views you as background noise and one who sees you as the focal point of his attention. The former gives you routine. The latter gives you recognition. And recognition is the seed of connection. Think about it. When someone you don't care for walks in, your greeting is neutral. But when someone who stirs your heart enters, you cannot help but shift. Your energy rises. Your presence sharpens. You show up differently. This is human nature. Attention bends toward desire. And so, a man's greeting is your test. Does his body betray excitement? Does his voice carry warmth? Does he lean into you as if you are gravity pulling him closer? That is identity meeting desire in real time. The problem is, too many people ignore this. They chase big words, dramatic gestures, and grand promises, yet they overlook the first and most honest signal, the greeting. That's where truth hides, because the beginning reveals more than the middle. How he chooses to see you when you first enter the frame tells you everything about the place you hold in his life. And here's the rule. You must stop excusing weak greetings. Do not rationalize indifference. Do not mistake politeness for passion. If his greeting is flat, detached, or distracted, you have your answer. That is not desire. That is routine. And routine cannot build the kind of love that transforms. The strongest relationships are built on recognition, on that undeniable energy when two identities collide and both know this matters. A man who is truly invested will never greet you like a stranger. He will never treat you as background noise. His identity bends toward you. His greeting reflects that alignment, and alignment cannot be faked for long. This is also why restraint is power. You do not beg for energy. You do not chase for recognition. You observe. You measure. You hold your standard. Because the truth of a man's heart is not in what he claims under pressure, it is in what he reveals naturally, in moments as small as a hello. Understand this, a greeting is not random. It is a ritual of value. The way he enters your space tells you whether he has placed you at the center of his awareness or pushed you to the edge of his priorities. You are not looking for grand performances. You are looking for intensity, for presence, for the quiet fire in his voice when he says your name. That is desire breaking through courtesy. And here lies your strength. Never settle for greetings that are weak, distracted, or empty, because the way he greets you is not a small detail. It is the entire blueprint of how he sees you. If you accept indifference in the greeting, you will accept indifference in the relationship. But if you demand presence at the beginning, you set the standard for the entire bond. A man's greeting is not just courtesy. It's identity meeting desire. If his identity does not rise to meet his desire, then his words will never hold weight. But when both collide, when his greeting carries fire, focus, and intensity, then you know you are not just another person in his world. You are the point his world tilts toward. So pay attention. Do not be blinded by rehearsed charm. Do not be fooled by grand declarations. Look at the greeting. That is where reality speaks loudest. When he greets you with energy, with focus, with undeniable presence, you have your answer. That is not routine. That is revelation. That is identity and desire colliding in one powerful moment. Love is not measured in excuses. It is not found in the endless "I was busy, I meant to," or "I'll do it later." Excuses are the language of absence. They sound like care, but they reveal neglect. They attempt to cover a void with words, to disguise emptiness with explanation. But love does not hide behind silence or excuses. Love reveals itself in presence, powerful, undeniable, intense presence. Presence is the currency of devotion. When someone is truly invested, their presence is sharp, alive, and focused. You feel it immediately. You don't need to ask for proof. It shows itself. A man who loves you doesn't vanish behind reasons. He steps forward with energy. He makes you feel seen, not sidelined. He makes you feel important, not optional. This is because presence is not accidental. It is intentional. It requires choice, effort, and sacrifice. Think about it. Anyone can throw excuses. They cost nothing. Excuses are cheap, but presence costs everything. Presence demands that he sets aside distraction, that he sacrifices comfort, that he chooses you over noise. That intensity, that willingness to give focus is love in its rawest form. Excuses create doubt, but presence creates certainty. If you constantly wonder whether someone cares, the answer is already clear. They don't. Because when love is real, you don't need to question it. It shows up. It is present. It is undeniable. You feel it in the way he listens, in the way he looks at you, in the way he leans toward you with full energy. Here is where strength is needed. You must stop tolerating excuses as substitutes for love. Excuses are poison. They erode your self-worth. They keep you waiting. They chain you to false hope. Presence, on the other hand, nourishes you. It affirms you. It gives you energy instead of draining it. That is why the only reliable test of love is not explanation, but intensity of presence. Love is not hidden in silence. Silence can mean indifference. Silence can mean avoidance. Silence can mean cowardice. But presence? Presence means courage. Presence means investment. Presence means I am here for you now. That is the essence of commitment. You must learn to separate noise from truth. Noise is excuses, delays, apologies that never end. Truth is action, focus, consistency. The man who truly loves you will not hide behind the shield of silence. He will not drown you in reasons. He will step forward, fully present, because his love cannot sit still. It must express itself. And presence is not always grand. It does not always mean expensive gifts or dramatic gestures. Sometimes it is in the quiet moments, the way he listens without distraction, the way he notices details, the way he gives you his undivided attention. These small acts, repeated with intensity, reveal more than 1,000 excuses ever could. This is why intensity matters. Presence without intensity is routine, but presence with intensity transforms. You can feel the difference. Routine presence feels mechanical, as if he is there but not really with you. Intense presence feels alive, magnetic, undeniable. That is love. That is devotion. That is truth. So here is the challenge. Never settle for excuses. Never let silence be mistaken for care. Care is not silent. It is expressive. Care is not distant. It is near. Care does not explain why it cannot show up. It simply shows up. If he is truly invested, you will feel it. If you don't feel it, then he is not. It is that simple. Intensity of presence exposes love. It cuts through doubt, destroys confusion, and gives clarity. You will not need to analyze, to beg, to rationalize. You will know, because presence has weight. It has energy. It cannot be denied. And that is your standard. Hold it, protect it. Do not bend for excuses. Do not lower yourself for silence. Because when love is real, it speaks through action, through attention, through presence that leaves no room for doubt. Excuses are weak. Silence is empty. But presence is power. Presence is love. Presence is the only truth worth believing.